I just want to, hey, how you doing, everybody? I just want to read this. They talk about guidelines all the time, right? Well, guideline as a word is a noun, right? But plural in a noun is guidelines. A general rule, principle, or piece of advice. Advice doesn't mean everybody has to take it. Doesn't mean it doesn't come with admonishment or punishment either. The organization has issued guidelines in a sentence for people working with prisoners. Let's get into this word, double standard, as a noun. A rule or principle which is unfairly applied in different ways to different people or groups. Again, listen to me. Double standards. A word is a noun. A rule as a noun. A rule or principle which is unfairly applied in different ways to different people or groups as a noun. In the sentence, the prolonged consideration of the issue represented a double standard. It makes perfectly good sense, doesn't it? When you think about it, the prolonged consideration of the issue represented a double standard. There are people who can't get monetized. There are people who are going through different things. There are people who are not abiding by guidelines by the very people that employ them. Censorship, we'll use as a noun. The suppression or prohibition of any parts of books, films, news, etc. that are considered obscene, politically unacceptable, doesn't mean politically incorrect, or a threat to security. Who's the security? When you think about what guidelines are based upon, steeped in double standards. We'll get to the last rule of that one, okay? As far as censorship, okay? So the suppression or prohibition of any parts of books, films, news, etc. that are considered obscene, politically unacceptable, or a threat to security. The regulation, in the sentence, the regulation imposes censorship on all media. In ancient Rome, the office of position of censor, this is where it's supposed to come from, he celebrated a triumph together with his father, and they held the censorship jointly. Well, let's look at what the First Amendment says. But you got to know how it applies and where it applies. Now, there's a lot of lies and double standards. Because if you're on the soil, everything applies. It doesn't matter what you are. But ergo is the double standards. And we'll get to the last one in a little bit. The First Amendment protects against censorship imposed by law, but does not protect against corporate censorship. The restraint of speech of spokespersons, employees, or business associates by threatening monetary loss, loss of employment, or loss of access to whatever it may be. Now let's look at agenda. Agenda means, well, as far as as a noun, a list of items to be discussed at a formal meeting. The question of nuclear weapons had been removed from the agenda as far as a question or a statement. Agenda means, the word agenda is the plural for the Latin word agendum, which literally means something to be done. The noun retains this meaning because an agenda is a plan, organized by time, or events or things to do. You might have a meeting, a lunch date, and a doctor's appointment on your agenda for the day. So, agenda would play a major role in censorship. The First Amendment only being permitted on the soil, but not to the corporation, ergo CIA or things on skunk or black ops, which are based upon the Constitution to protect it, right? So the ergo, they must abide by it. Now, if it is away from it, it means that it doesn't apply to the land. So that means that if it doesn't apply to the land, it should not be here. Why do I say that? Admonitory order is sometimes followed by self-depreciation. Let me say it again. Admonitory order is sometimes followed by self-depreciating phrase. Do as I say, not as I do. Meaning, don't imitate my behavior, but obey my instructions. When I last checked, this was the land of the land or home of the free because of the fucking brave, not secret societies and bastardization of words and lies. Like legalese compared to English, to which Rockefeller perverted when he was ousted and then took over the healing industry to pervert and make people sick so that way he could be in control again. And then to work with those to rid us off of our ancient soil. So really, none of it really applies. They're only doing it because they're steeped in ignorance, and they don't really know that it doesn't apply here. Do as I say, not as I do, is the evil, bizarro form of the old saying, actions speak louder than words. Or don't judge people by what they say. So, ergo, we know that even though they have, all right, these guidelines, they do not stand by them. It is to have control, dictatorship, which I have here. I'm not going to read that to you, over you. And most of you abide by it. And they give no reason as to why, because most of them are young and ignorant. And then there are those who are not even you, who loathe and love this game they play. I just wanted to share that. Okay? Y'all have a grand evening.